Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kurrama, and in today's episode, we dive into the past, the present, and potential future of Druids, focusing on a build that's rapidly gaining traction in World of Warcraft's Season of Discovery, the RestoKin. Sit back, relax, and join me as we shapeshift into cheetah form and sprint into today's topic. Could we be on the brink of witnessing a fifth Druid specialization in Season of Discovery? To set the record straight, this video is not a guide on playing RestoKin, but a deep dive into what a RestoKin is. Is it optimal and viable? We'll explore its current state, potential future, and some Druid history. If you're interested in a build review, please leave comments and subscribe. I've been diligently responding to everyone's comments on both the YouTube and Reddit post I made. Your insights and feedback are extremely valuable, sparking discussions and broadening my perspective on concepts I haven't considered before. My passion for Druids drives me to share with the community, and I appreciate your engagement. Check the description for timestamps. First up, let's briefly review Druid history. Sorry, wrong history lesson. Druids, as most of us know, were first introduced at the onset of original World of Warcraft back in 2004. In both the OG and the Classic Edition in 2019, they were known as the Jack of all trades and the Master of none. They initially had 3 talent trees catering to 4 roles. There was Balance, a caster DPS, Feral, which had both cat DPS and a bear tank, and then the Restoration tree. Balance was probably considered the worst DPS ever seen, unless you had super lucky RNG on Chromagus. Restoration Druids were often sidelined due to their HOTS displacing world buffs, and Feral saw some love, especially in the Classic 2019 version. I will avoid bringing up the PTSD of the power chugging. Druids were extremely unique in the sense that the Feral talent tree had 2 completely different roles built into it, cat DPS and bear tanking. Feral Druid's talent tree had this dual build / playstyle all through Classic, TBC, Wrath, and Cataclysm. It wasn't until Mist of Pandaria MOP when the Guardian tree was introduced, which we then saw the first and still only class with 4 different specialization selections. For the most part, as each expansion was released, Druids saw their strength grow in each spec. Over the years, fun, wacky, niche builds have been created to fill specific roles. One of my favorites was the Panzerkin, a thick boomkin.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
That would off-tank on certain fights. This wasn't common or anything, but it was unique, and if you're like me, I like creativity and uniqueness if it's still viable. Now in Season of Discovery, we are seeing the Druid holding its own, and in some circumstances, absolutely shining compared to other classes. Most of Bear Tank's prior issues no longer exist. The Boomkin is no longer the laughingstock of DPS. Feral came out strong in Phase 1, declined a bit in Phase 2, however no one cares because the Wild Strikes buff they bring to the Alliance raid groups is a must. That might be a little different on the Horde side because of the Shaman's Wind Fury. Let me know in the comments. Resto Druids can solo heal the raids in both Phase 1 and 2, which allows you to bring a 1 tank, 1 healer, and 8 DPS composition to raid. I mean, I may be biased. Who's kidding? I completely am. But Druids have an argument for being the best healer in the game in Phase 2. We still only have 3 talent trees and 4 different roles. However, could that be changing? What is the new rising spec that we are seeing a large part of the Druid community playing? What is the RestoKin? To cut to the chase, in Phase 2, the RestoKin is a Druid who puts all 31 points into the balance tree and primarily DPSs in Boomkin form, while throwing out occasional heals in the fight. Majority of the time, all runes will be balance related, besides the hand slot for wild growth. Its primary role is to DPS and only throw out heals when needed to help the other healer. That being said, the March 12th hotfix gave the RestoKin some love, specifically that Nourish and Healing Touch can now be casted in Boomkin form with the Fury of Stormrage rune proc. See the image on the screen for details. In addition, they can now cast the following moves while remaining in Boomkin form: Remove Curse, remove/abolish Poison, Innervate, Rebirth, Revive, Mark of the Wild, and Gift of the Wild. It's important to note this is not the first rendition of RestoKin play style we've seen. In the Burning Crusade, we saw builds like this tried, but fell short in raids to mana issues and some other things. But in Season of Discovery, runes provide a significant boost to this playstyle and seeing renewed hope and interest. Quite a few groups are wanting Druids to fill the RestoKin role so more DPS can be achieved while still technically having 2 healers. As the RestoKin grows in popularity, I like to think about the future it could bring. Could we actually see changes in Season of Discovery where Boomkins get additional talents, runes, or hotfixes where all healing doesn't break their Boomkin form? Could you imagine a completely new talent tree where Resto and Boomkin trees were combined? What would that look like? Maybe a mechanic like Atonement Healing, or a completely new mechanic that transfers Boomkin's damage into some HOTS on nearby players. For those of you that don't know what Atonement Healing is, it's a passive disciplined priest talent. It causes several abilities to apply atonement, causing applied targets to be healed when the priest deals damage with certain offensive spells. However, there was an earlier rendition, I believe it was MOP, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, where you didn't have to apply the buff to targets. All you had to do was simply cast Smite or any other holy damaging spell, and it would heal for a percentage of the damage done to your raid members. How interesting would it be if Druid's natures and arcane spells could put HOTS on nearby players? I truly believe Blizzard has the opportunity to explore and get creative here. If there is any time to do it, it would be in Season of Discovery. This season is allowing Blizzard to try new things, explore avenues never thought or seen before. We all know and need to understand some of them may be a huge success and some of them may be failures. No one knows unless they are tried. Before I talk about this next section, I want to make myself clear. I am the biggest advocate of playing what you enjoy and don't let others dictate how you should be playing. The community can be both a loving and hostile environment, and as my guild advocates, we are all here after a long, stressful day of life and escape from reality. Whether it's work or any other issues and things in life, we don't play this game to add to our problems. We come here because it's something we enjoy, and we enjoy the company around us. We all don't know what people are going through on the other end, so be respectful and preach positivity. Okay, I'm done with my rant. Lastly, we discussed the hot and juicy topic where everyone will flame me for having an opinion. Its viability and if it's optimal. To get straight to the answer, yes, it is viable. And if you wish to play this style in Season of Discovery, it currently functions well in the right setting. Specifically in a 2-healer comp where you have a main healer and you're the off healer. It will be interesting to see if a RestoKin Shadow Priest combo could do enough healing to fully replace a dedicated healer, and I'm looking forward to see if that happens in Phase 2. But I like to discuss if it's optimal, because I hear countless people say, you should never be full Resto. RestoKin's the only way. RestoKin is mandatory. What is the idea behind this? Is it really the most optimal for putting out more DPS in your group? The short answer is, it just depends on your composition. If you have 2 healers and one's the main healer and the other is RestoKin, then yes, it's probably optimal. You can absolutely play RestoKin, and the group should be fine. With that being said, if you want to be optimal, I would run a 1-1-8 build. Let the Druid go full Resto with your solo tank, and you could bring 8 DPS pumpers. This will be far more optimal than a 226 comp or a 127 comp. Why bring a mediocre RestoKin DPSing off healer when you could have a top tier DPS that's doing 3 or 4 times the amount of damage? If you are a newer healer or solo healing, I would recommend first gaining experience with running with the full resto or the wrath build that I mentioned in my prior video. Your heals will be strong and wrath is still in your rotation. Once you get comfortable with the fight, you can start dabbing in this RestoKin build. In conclusion, choose the build that speaks to you. Each has its place, contingent on your group's dynamics. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. As I mentioned, I have a passion about Druids, both playing and discussing them. I look forward to what the future brings in Season of Discovery. Thanks again, and may your heals be strong.